Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're making a headphone stand. Well, just recently I have acquired a set of Bluetooth headphones and I use them when I'm editing the show. But when I'm done with them, I really don't have anywhere to put them. So I've just been kind of draping them over one of the walls of my roll-top desk. It's kind of an okay solution, but it sure as heck isn't a good one. So I thought that on today's show, I would kind of muddle my way through it, see what we can come up with. I have an idea as to what it is that I want to make and what I want it to look like and how I want it to function, but I really don't have any kind of dimensions or plans. So let's get some stock. In this case, I'm going to be using Cherry, and let's get this project started. Well, for this project, I want a base that is going to hold some of the accessories that are with my headphones. So what I have here is a piece of Cherry. It's roughly 2 inches thick, and it measures 5 inches by 5 inches. Now I've marked the center here, and the first step is I want to draw right here like this a circle that is 4.5 inches in diameter. And once we get this done, we're going to head over to the bandsaw. Well, I have a 3/16 inch blade installed in the bandsaw here, and what I want to do first is I have marked on the top edge, I have marked a line in 1/8 of an inch in from each one of these sides, and the very first thing I want to do is I want to remove 1/8 of an inch of material from both the top and the bottom of this piece of Cherry. Well, I actually decided to do a 1/4 inch off the bottom just to make it a little more secure. So 1/8 from the top and removed a 1/4 inch from the bottom. Now in from each side here, I'm going to measure in, I'm going to say 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch on each side, but at the back, I want to come in 1.5 inches from the back. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 1/4 inch circle template, and I'm going to round off these inner corners, and then we're going to take this over to the bandsaw and we are going to cut this out. With the core cut out, I have duplicated our 4.5 inch diameter on here, and then I've come in 1/4 inch to give us a 1/4 inch thick wall. I've also drawn around the perimeter here 1/4 inch in. But before we do anything with that, this is going to be the storage drawer. But before we do anything with that, we need to cut 1/4 inch. I think I'm going to do more like 3/16 of an inch. We're going to cut 3/16 of an inch off the bottom of our drawer. Now that went a little bit wonky on me, and it actually is much thinner. I think I was putting too much pressure on the blade, caused the blade to deflect. I can still work with it. It's just the bottom of the drawer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in on the along with the grain. I'm going to start my cut right here, and I'm going to cut around the perimeter of the inside of this drawer to get this middle section cut out. And at this point we can glue our pieces back together, clamping it up really well, and let it dry up to form the walls and the drawer of our headphone stand. Now the front profile is still not cut. We're going to do that a little later, but for now let's at least get the drawer glued back together. While we're at it, we can also glue the bottom and the top onto our 5x5 inch piece of Cherry. Well, while we're waiting for the base and the drawer to dry up, there really isn't much we can do, so we might as well start working on the top, or the headphone holder itself. So I have here a piece of Cherry. It's about 7/8 of an inch thick. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to draw a line right here. It doesn't matter. It's just a reference line, but it's at least 3 inches down from the one edge of the board. Now guys, what I have is I have my compass set for a 3 inch radius, I'm just going to place it here on the board, and we're going to draw a 6-inch diameter circle. Now once we get that done, right here on these bottom, right where this center line here meets with the edge of our circle, I want to draw a 1 1/4 inch diameter circle template here. Just like that, and then one on the other side as well. And now, guys, all I want to do at this point is I want to put our compass back into that center point here. We're going to adjust it to match up with the edge of those 1 1/4 circle templates, and we're going to draw, just like this, another circle. Actually, I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend that center line here from our circle. I'm going to extend it down to the base, and starting at the base right here, the bottom of our circle, I'm going to adjust our compass to touch. Yeah, that's better. I like that a lot better. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So guys, at this point now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down to a more manageable piece. And the very first thing I want to do is right in the middle here, I want to drill a hole. Try to make it as square as you can, but I want to drill a 1/4 inch diameter hole about 1 inch deep into the base of our arch right here. So we're going to cut this into a square piece, keep it as square as we can, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so that hole is drilled, and we now need to cut around the perimeter of this piece. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it at the scroll saw. You can cut it at the bandsaw, the scroll saw. You can cut it by hand, whatever you like. If you're not 100% confident in your cutting abilities, you can cut outside the lines and sand up to them. Once we get that done, we're going to put a round over on both sides of our piece, give it a good sanding, and then this piece here is pretty much finished. And that is the top section of our headphone stand done. So let's turn our attention back to the base. Well, the drawer is dried, and we're going to take it over to the belt sander, and we're just going to very lightly clean up these edges just to take the saw marks off of it. We don't want to do anything with this front profile just yet. So just clean up the sides. We can give the bottom a sanding and possibly the top, but other than that, that will be it for this for now. Well, I have our drawer, and I have placed a piece of double-sided tape on the back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the drawer in place. I'm going to line it up so it is equally spaced on either side of our opening here. And once I get it set the way I like it, I'm going to push it in place to hold it there. Now, I may even, just as a little added measure of security to keep it steady, I may even shoot a couple of pin nails here into the front, into the waist area, just to keep it steady and to keep it from moving. Once I get that done, we're going to take it over to the bandsaw, and we're going to cut around the perimeter of the original 4.5 circle that we drew. Well, once you get the cutting and the sanding done, you end up with a base that looks like this. And this looks great. I love this. So you've got this little drawer here that fits in. It's nice round front profile. And what I've done is I've centered it. I've placed a mark here and then aligned on the back here. If you remember, we left this solid at the back. So 1 inch in from the back, in line with the center of our drawer, we're going to drill a 1/4 inch diameter hole, not all the way through, but at least 1 inch deep. Well, this is where we get to pull the whole project together. And if there's one thing that looks fantastic, it's when you mix different materials with woodworking. In this case, cherry and brass rod. Guys, This is a piece of 1/4 inch diameter brass rod. It is 7.5 inches long. I'm just taking a little bit of Autosol metal polish to it. You guys have seen me use this stuff on the show before. We're just going to take the Autosol to the brass rod, clean it up, give it a nice shine. The Autosol will put a nice protective coating on it. And once we get that done, we can tap the brass rod down into the base until it bottoms out, and then we can tap the top section onto the brass rod. And guys, after that, all that's really left to do is apply the finish. And there you have it, a headphone stand. Guys, this here came out of necessity for me, as a lot of the projects on the show do. I got a pair of Bluetooth headphones that came into my possession and I had nowhere to put them, so I decided to make a stand. Now, truth be told, that drawer, again, is out of necessity. That bottom base, we'll call it, if you didn't catch on to that throughout the show, it's nothing more than a bandsaw box. So the methods that I did there with slicing the top and the bottom off, then cutting the inside perimeter, and then taking that inside perimeter, which becomes the drawer, slicing the bottom, cutting the shape, gluing it back together, etc., etc. It's nothing more than a bandsaw box. But it really does a great job here in holding the accessories for these headphones that I have, which would be the connection dongle if you need it, and it has a side earpiece, and of course the charging cord, because they are rechargeable. So everything is held together in one spot. Now, truth be told, that drawer, I needed some kind of pull, and I played around with different ideas, Eustachian pins, but they were too small. So what I ended up doing actually was taking a piece of that 1/4 inch rod, the brass rod, putting it in a drill chuck on the lathe, and I actually turned some hardware for that drawer. And I think it looks great. It matches the upright post of the brass pole, so everything goes together and everything, it kind of pulls the whole design together. Either way, guys, this is a great project. If you have a set of headphones, or if you know somebody who's an audiophile and really loves their music and has a nice pair of headphones that they're always just tossing down on the table, why not make them one of these and wrap it up and surprise them with this gift, either for their birthday, for Christmas, or just as a, hey, you know what, buddy, I thought you could use this. What a great idea. It's a great way to use up some smaller pieces of stock that you may not have a use for otherwise, but all in all, just a fun project, a lot of great methods and procedures throughout it, and gosh guys, just a load of fun. You got to give this one a try. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week. This one, as I said, has been a ton of fun. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. You click the bell and then you're not going to miss the notifications of future episodes of the program. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I hope you've been able to take something positive away from it, and I hope that you're going to try this for yourself if you have that friend of yours or yourself that has the headphones and never seem to have a home. And more importantly, guys, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.